What is going on, my beautiful LARPers and LARPettes? Today we're going to go over the brand new Sig Sauer P226 X5. Now this is a reintroduction to their original X5, which was the German-made X5. This is a US-made X5. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those in my hands. I wish I did. They're extremely expensive and extremely hard to find. Yeah, I don't have one to compare it to this, and if you do own one of those, you're probably going to see some minor details that have been changed between the German version and the US version. So in this video, I'm pretty much going to go over all the little details that are on this firearm and what I liked about it and what I disliked about it. But before I get into all that, what is my relationship with Sig? Sig has sent me firearms in the past. They don't give them to me for free for the review. They give them to me for, I guess, the testing, and then I have the option of sending them back or purchasing them if I wanted to. And also, I'd like to thank the channel sponsor, Atlantic Firearms, for always supporting my YouTube endeavors. Now, what do you get when you first purchase one of these? You get a nice hard-sided lockable case. Makes you feel really fancy when you're pulling up to the range, when you're unlocking those two little levers there. You get three 21 or 20 round magazines. They say 18, but this extension adds an extra 2 rounds or 3 rounds, something like that. But you have one in the gun over here. So 3 magazines, which is really nice. And they do give you a challenge coin that says Custom Works on it as well. Similar to like if you submit your Legion whatever thing, and they give you a challenge coin for that as well. Let's move on to the firearm itself. Now moving on to the front here, you do have a very bright green fiber optic, and on the back you do have a adjustable rear sight that's adjustable for windage and elevation. These rear sights have not really been my preference, just because I don't like the fact that you're able to remove the whole rear sight. But since this is a dedicated, I guess, competition gun, it doesn't really matter to have that rear sight there, unless it does matter. I don't know, you competition guys out there that actually run this type of setup, do you actually really care about your sights, or does it become more of a nuisance when you have a rear sight that's taking up most of that window? So you guys write a comment down below and let me know if a versus between having backup sights and not having backup sights. As for me, I like to have backup sights. Now, I always forget to mention what is chambered in, guys. This is chambered in 9mm, and the barrel is 5 inches long. Also, the guide rod and spring do go out to that full 5 inches as well. Now, the serrations on here are pretty much standard across the line of 226s. They aren't very aggressive, but they're not to the point where it's going to slip on you. This is basically identical to the German version from what I've seen. It's identical to the German version on how the slide and the frame and everything is designed. Basically the exterior of it, other than the sight, I believe. That's going to be a little bit different. I don't think the German version was cut this way. I think it actually had the just the rear adjustable sight and not a optic cut on here. And I didn't mention optic cut. With that rear sight coming off, it is cut for basically any optic that you want to put on there. You just got to buy the corresponding plate for this optic cut. Now moving on down, you do have your 1913 style accessory rail, or the light rail, or whatever you want to call it. The takedown lever might look a little bit different than the other X5s out there, is because this X5 is the, I guess, classic version, or the classic looking, just because it has the wood grips. There's another version of this that's the competition tailored version. It has a takedown lever that's basically a ledge as well, so it gives you something to rest your finger on. But when I got the option of picking which X5 I wanted to review, I chose this one because I absolutely love wood grips on guns. That's just my thing, guys. I think these wood grips complement the rest of the gun and make the gun look extremely beautiful. It's a very sexy looking gun. Now moving on to the wood grips, these grips are made by Hogue, and they are made specifically for the X5, obviously. And if you're looking at it, it has this big X logo right on the grip there. I did not have any slippage issues with those wood grips, or any issues even trying to get a good purchase on it. It felt really nice in the hands. And on the topic of getting a good purchase, you do have some checkering right here at the front of the grip that feels extremely nice in the hands as well. What I did find a little bit odd is, I don't know if the German version had this, but this one does not have it. Usually across the board on all the Sig 226s that I've been seeing, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you do get checkering on the front of that trigger guard. This one does not have checkering on the front. I don't know why, but I just wanted to point that little detail out that it's not on there. I don't use that ever. I don't put my finger right there, so I don't really need to use that. But if you do use that, you are going to have a lack of checkering on the front of that trigger guard. Now, moving up on the grips, you do have a very tactile safety. It's a little stiff trying to push that up sometimes though. When I push it down, I don't have an issue, but pushing it up just takes a little bit more effort. Maybe it's just because it's a brand new gun and I just got to work in it a little bit more, but as of now, it is pretty stiff. And right in front of that safety, you do have your slide release. Now, this is one of the things that I wanted to point out to you guys that I don't really like about this gun. This slide release or slide lock is pretty difficult to get to. The way it's designed so close to the safety and the extended safety at that, the safety gets in your way of actuating that slide release. So I kind of have to like bump my finger over the safety itself to get to the slide release. So if you're looking here, maybe I can get a close-up for you guys. I have my thumb rested while I'm shooting, right? So when I put the magazine in, I kind of have to use the tip of my thumb to try to actuate that slide release. On a normal 226 that doesn't have a safety, I can just basically tap that with any part of my thumb. There were some times where I was struggling when I would put a magazine in. I would kind of have to move my hand around a little bit to get a good purchase onto that release there. I don't know if they make actual extended versions of these slide releases. If there are, please let me know, because that's one of the things that I would probably change on this X5 is that slide release. I feel like if they added a little nub or a little basically bend to that and it kind of popped out the same length as the safety, it would be a lot better. But as of now, it just sits very flush. So it really looks nice when you're looking at it, but functionality wise, it's a little difficult to use. Now moving on back, you do have your hammer. The design of this hammer is a little bit different than like your average 226. And moving on down, you do have a very similar beaver tail to the other 226s. I mean, this is a 226. It's just a competition version of the 226, but I don't have a German version to compare it to, so I'm trying to make do with what I got. Moving on down, you do have an aluminum magwell, and I was a little bit skeptical on this magwell when I first got it because I haven't really used this type of magwell before, this half moon type magwell. I thought I was going to hang up on my reloads by hitting the front of that just because there is not a magwell on there, but I didn't really have an issue on it. I actually reload pretty damn fast with this gun. And it makes sense on why they cut it like that, because on the base plates on the magazine, you do have this little cutout here, this little lip. Because just in case your magazines get stuck, you can use your finger and strip those out with the aid of that lip on the front. And last but not least, my personal opinion on what sets this 226 apart from all the other 226s is the trigger. The trigger has 4 different adjustment settings. You're gonna see that little hole right there. That is going to be your screw to adjust the weight of that trigger pull. Then if you're looking at the bottom here, you're gonna have your over travel screw. Now looking at the side here, you do have a screw that you stick an Allen key into, you unscrew it, and you adjust the trigger forward and back. If you're looking at the bottom there, you can see little ridges. Those are like basically little teeth that bite into the trigger itself so it doesn't have any slop or movement once you tighten everything down. But once you unscrew it, you can set that wherever you want within those positions there and adjust basically the length of where that trigger is going to sit. Last adjustment is on the inside. So when you pull off this slide, if you look on the top, there is another Allen head, and you can tighten that or loosen it to adjust the pre-travel. So you have over travel at the bottom, pre-travel at the top, trigger weight at the front, and then length I guess. And I would think since you can take that screw off and the trigger shoe comes directly off, that you could swap out for another trigger shoe design if you needed to. Didn't really look at aftermarket parts for this guy just because I feel like it's a pretty complete gun in itself other than that slide release. So you guys might be more knowledgeable than me when it comes to the aftermarket parts on this. And right now that trigger is sitting around 2.5 pounds is what I found on my gauge. So let me go ahead and put it on the trigger pull gauge for you and see what is actually coming in at. So yeah, that's coming in like right around 2.5, a little bit over 2.5 pounds. Extremely nice trigger, and that is from the factory, me not adjusting anything on it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all the main features that are on this firearm. I did not mention weight, so I'll get a scale for you and compare it to this 320 X5 Legion and the 226 Legion here. As you can see, this is a very hefty gun, but that weight does help a ton when it comes to reducing that recoil, that felt recoil, that kick. It does aid in getting that nice, good return to zero and getting nice follow-up shots. With that 2.5 pound trigger in conjunction with the weight of this gun, I was getting doubles super easy. I was at like around 40 yards. Then I took it out to like 100 yards and was just shooting like single shots at it just to mess around with it. As far as accuracy testing, guys, what do you guys actually like to see? In my opinion, when I shoot paper and try to get like actual little groupings and stuff like that, I think it's a little bit boring, but if you guys like that stuff, drop a comment down below and I'll try to do more official accuracy testing than just me shooting at distance, I guess. But that weight does keep that recoil down. I compared it to my 226 Legion and the 320 X5 Legion, and between shooting all three, this felt extremely nice and extremely smooth. Aside from that, guys, as far as reliability goes, I usually shoot around like 500 rounds to do my initial impressions or testing, and then I want to go on past that and maybe give you guys an update. But this one we shot, by we I mean me and my cameraman, we shot 1,000 rounds total, and it did not have one single malfunction. But yeah, other than that, guys, this is a gun that I was wanting to get my hands on for a very long time. I just never was very fond of the prices that they were coming around for the German versions. But when this one came around, I was like, shoot, I definitely got to get my hands on one of these. Even though Sig did let me borrow this firearm, I'm going to go ahead and purchase this one from Sig directly because it is a very, very nice, beautiful gun that I want to add into my collection. Anyone who's ever shot the original X5s will tell you the same thing. This is a work of art. And in my opinion, the best Sig 226 out of the 226 lineup. But as far as price goes, this is a pretty pricey gun still. It's coming around $2,000 or a little bit more than that. When you're getting up to those prices, you're gonna have to decide between all the other $2,000 price guns and see what benefits you and what doesn't benefit you. What I'm seeing out of this X5 is the adjustability of that trigger. That is very appealing to me, that I have that much adjustability in a trigger. The reliability is great so far within those 1,000 rounds, and just the look of it is badass, right? This is just like one of those guns that the final boss would have in a movie before they try to make their last stand, before the hero comes and takes them out. But aside from that, I think this is going to be a pretty good contender for the limited optics division. Now, I'm not a huge competitor like some of you guys out there, but I can see what would be appealing for this gun to use in limited optics, and a lot is going to have to do with that nice, crisp, adjustable single action trigger, and I think probably a little bit on the price, because I think limited optics would probably be taken over by 2011s, but this one might be coming slightly under the price of a 2011. Don't quote me on that, but from what I've seen, I think they're like around 2200, maybe less, and a 2011 is like 25 or more. But all in all, beautiful gun. Definitely putting it in my collection. But I highly suggest for you guys to go out and shoot one of these. Maybe down the road I'll own the German version and actually do a comparison between the two. But if you've seen any differences between the two, please let me know down below. There you go, guys. Sorry about my rambling. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's more videos to come. I appreciate you all for watching. Thank you all. Love you all. Catch you in the next one.